Well, there had been a women's council before that had been created by executive order. I had said if I was elected, I would restore it, and to make sure that it couldn't have such an ephemeral existence, we did it by legislation rather than by executive order.
There was this agenda. Tony Earl won the election, and I got hired as a young 30-something to implement this agenda. There were other women at the table, Jean Boyer and Kay Clarenbach and Connie Trinan and Marion Thompson, really the giants of the women's movement. Midge Miller, Mary Lou Muntz.
I became a member of the Women's Council because I was I thought, a woman who was concerned about women's issues.
Well, I was in the legislature, and the governor at that time, Governor Thompson, asked me to go on it, and that's how it happened.
The phone rings, and it was a call from the governor, and he asked me if I would be his designee on the Women's Council, and I said yes.
I was tickled to death to be asked to be on the council. There was such a need for the council, and so I was very interested in changing the world through the Wisconsin Women's Council.
You bring women from such a broad perspective to the table. We had legislative leaders on the committee, we had rural women, we had urban women, we had professionals, we had stay-at-home moms.
And they all had great contributions to make. We sat around that table with Hannah focusing us, keeping us on task, and the sharing the different viewpoints was memorable to me.
One of the most interesting things was working with Hannah Rosenthal, because most people, when they saw a gray-haired conservative woman walk in the door and Hannah walk in the door, say, oh, this is going to be interesting.
You look at the partisan nature of some of the personalities that were on the council, you say, how are we going to do this? And it was really something.
When we created the Glass Ceiling Commission, we tried to find diverse members, people from all parts of the state and all kinds of backgrounds. And I have to say that today, many of those women are my very best friends.
I remember my first day in the office going in, and there weren't any pencils or pens. I mean, there was nothing. So the first thing was putting the office together.
Part of my service on the board was working to try to get a meeting convened because of the politics of women's issues and what things may come up. It was absolutely a miracle to get a quorum to meet.
Two of the members of my committee were Senator Russ Feingold and Senator Chuck Qualla. And our two gentlemen would come in, loaded with work from their office, staff coming in and out constantly to them, and they'd leave for long periods of time. The mother in me came out, and I took them to task, something I suppose a junior legislator had no business doing, one might think. They didn't miss meetings after that.
The future of the Women's Council was often on the chopping block.
There was a period of time in the early 90s, and it may have happened a couple times, that we were just absolutely certain we were going to get written out of existence in a legislative budget. We were sweating bullets a little bit over that, but it also, we came up with some pretty interesting scenarios about how we were going to overcome that obstacle.
It's very slow. I know it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And
We definitely had contentious meetings, and they got to a point where the media loved to come because they could always count on something happening. And that's not bad, because it shows that there can be disagreement, but that we're staying on the issues.
It was quite controversial, and so the press was ready, and there were headlines every meeting. We weren't there to make headlines, we were there to try to make some opportunities and change some things for women.
But I think it's just a hoot that we all came together to work on issues, and I think we've had a number of annoying moments, but when I look at our list of accomplishments and outcomes, it's all been worth it.
I think that the Women's Council was a great opportunity to profile the potential of not only women themselves, but women's issues.
The hot issues at the time, marital property had just passed the legislature and signed into law by the governor. And there were very, very polarized viewpoints on what marital property would do for the status of women.
at that time, women were still struggling to become admitted into
professional programs, medical schools, law schools?
Well, I always say that the Women's Council impacts the 3 Ps of life. The pocketbook, policy, and politics.
I remember people going around wearing the buttons that said 57 cents. That was what women were earning on the dollar then.
You know, we all used to wear our buttons then. I think the buttons said 59 cents because at the time women were earning 59 cents for every dollar earned by men.
The statewide focus groups, and it was our ability to host these that gave some women the strength and the opportunity to come forward and talk about those issues that presented barriers to them.
One woman came to one of our hearings and said, you know, you talk in the city about being a lonely place. She says, let me tell you about lonely. Your husband is beating you regularly, and his best buddy is the sheriff you would call for help. I mean, she sent a chill through that room that I've never forgotten.
And it didn't matter what your political party was. You were hearing that the first thing to go was the women's health care. And the second thing to go was the women's health care. It wasn't a partisan issue.
You know, stories about women that would go on the job site and the foreman would have a meeting with all the guys and scare the daylights out of them about sexual harassment. So when the woman would walk on the site, nobody talked to her. We had a few issues though, like one where they would post all of the construction orders for the day in the men's john, which was a porta potty.
We did an analysis of the state budget. We would view the state budget through a women's lens. And it didn't matter who was governor. There was plenty in the state budget for us to point out needed improvement.
There were no women in the cabinet. Women had no particular positions of responsibility anywhere in state government.
Esther Luckert was in the legislature, but Esther Luckert had a terrible problem because she got married during one of the terms when she was serving, and she was required to put her husband's name on the last name as it appeared as her husband's name. And she said, nobody's going to know me by that name. I ran as Esther Luckert. And you know, you think, that wasn't that long ago. That really wasn't that long ago.
Trying to find solutions to a nut that no one had been able to crack, which is the glass ceiling.
It was the glass ceiling study. It was the spin-off of the Wisconsin Business Initiative programs.
Basically, the Women's Council was really the go-to place when you had economic development issues around women. It was a very important partner in those early years.
The whole STEM issue, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, more women and more young girls getting into the training phase of construction. We've had an opportunity to really have an impact there.
If you said, what do you really feel is something you hold very special, it's the trans program. And we had the mother of all planning sessions. We had church leaders, community leaders, state officials, unions, road builders. Before people left the room that day, we had a program of collaboration.
Yeah, that was when I first learned words like iced tea had something to do with highway construction.
I look back with very fond memories. We had a trip to La Crosse where we were going to do a focus group, and as we roared into town and unloaded car after car after car, I thought, boy, I'm not sure La Crosse is ready for this, but it really, we took the town by storm, I will say.
It's not just about women sitting around a table 4 or 5 times a year discussing an issue, but we really have made impact.
When I look back at what's been accomplished for women and issues, you find that there has been just a whole heck of a lot that's been done.
Well, I look around and I see many very polished, successful women, heads of companies in very big elected positions of great power. The problem is there just aren't enough of them yet.
25 years back, the big discussion was the glass ceiling. You fast forward to today, 25 years for women, we still talk about the glass ceiling. Have we progressed in 25 years? Of course. There is still a lot of work to do.
Currently in 2008, as a percentage, I think we have fewer women serving in public office.
I'm really disappointed in, particularly if you look locally, the number of women that we don't have in office. So I think it's time to get back to the pipeline issue again.
74 is better than 59, but we'd like to see even more equity in the workplace.
If I die tomorrow, make sure to put on my tombstone, she helped pass comparable worth, because I thought we were starting a national movement. So 25 years later, I'm very sad to see nobody knows what that issue is anymore.
At that time, not too many had women on their boards of directors, and I think we've made a little progress in that regard, but as you know, Chris, we have a long, long way to go.
Well, I'm pleased that my daughters are now grown and have chosen very exciting and non-traditional professions. I am a little sad when I hang out with them and their friends. Everything is not okay now for women. And so there is a part of me that's sad 25 years later that we're not further along.
Policies are better today. I think we've made big progress, but we still got quite a few ceilings to go through. There's some titanium ones out there yet that we have to take a drill bit to.
Even though it's 25 years later, what we face now is sort of the covert discrimination from a gender standpoint. There are still ways that we're not always fully informed and full partners at the table, so there is still a lot of work to do. There is still total relevancy to having a Wisconsin Women's Council.
I really hope and sense that the young women are being inspired, mentored, challenged, and counseled to be themselves. Yeah, you can do just about anything.
So I think we still have to be vigilant and to never take for granted these issues.
I hope that other young women are inspired to fight the non-stop battle of making sure that there's a level playing field for women to have opportunities personally and professionally.
Get a little more outraged. That it's okay to be outraged and that it's all right to fight. That takes passion and that takes clarity of thought, and that's what I think young women have to be focusing on, because their rights are on the chopping block.
In 25 years, we won't be having a conversation like this.
I want to congratulate the Wisconsin Women's Council on 25 great years. It's been 25 great years of progress for Wisconsin women. I thank all of the leaders of the organization, the people who have served on the council, the staff, and women across Wisconsin who have supported its work. You have helped so many people achieve their dreams. Happy 25th anniversary, Wisconsin Women's Council.
Well, I'd like to wish the Women's Council a happy 25th. Happy birthday.
Well, I would wish the Women's Council of Wisconsin a very, very, very happy silver 25th anniversary.
Happy 25th anniversary and 25 more terrific years.
All right, Women's Council, happy 25th birthday. Get a quorum, have a meeting to celebrate that event.
Happy 25th anniversary with many years to come. You do make a difference in the lives of Wisconsin people.
Congratulations, Women's Council.
Happy anniversary, Wisconsin Women's Council, for 25 years of outstanding work. Don't go away.
Happy 25th anniversary, Wisconsin Women's Council.
Happy birthday, Wisconsin Women's Council, and may your next 25 years be as wonderful as your first 25.